All right, let's tackle a question that feels like it completely breaks the rules of economics. Why is it that when one country prints a whole bunch of money, it's business as usual, but when another country does the exact same thing, its entire economy can just spiral into total chaos? Just look at this. This is the heart of the mystery right here. Country A prints money, and things are, well, they're fine. Country B prints money, and it's an absolute catastrophe. We're talking people's life savings wiped out, prices going through the roof, the whole shebang. So, same action, wildly different results. The big question is, what gives? And this quote really gets to the heart of it. This is the central idea we're going to unpack today. The suggestion here is that the ability to print money safely isn't really about the math or the economics. It's about power. It's about where a country stands in the world. So that's our mission for this explainer. We're going to dig into this paradox. We're going to follow the clues and try to figure out what this power actually is and why it makes all the difference. Okay, but before we jump in, we need to get on the same page about something fundamental. What money even is. You see, the paper in your wallet or the digits on a screen, that's not the actual wealth. Money is really just a claim on things you can buy in the future. Its entire value comes from trust, a massive shared belief that other people will accept it for real stuff, both today and tomorrow. So, keeping that idea of trust in mind, let's dive into our first big clue, and it all has to do with whose currency a country is borrowing in. This brings us to a concept called monetary sovereignty. So, what exactly is monetary sovereignty? Well, it sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. It just means a country, like the United States or Japan, can borrow money in the very currency it creates, dollars or yen. And because they control the printing press for that currency, they can't, in a purely mechanical sense, run out of money to pay their debts. They can always create more. And this right here changes the entire game. It completely shifts the kind of risk we're talking about. For a country with monetary sovereignty, the question isn't will I get paid back, it's when I get paid back, how much will that money actually buy? It's an inflation risk. But for a country that has to borrow in a foreign currency, the question is way, way scarier. It's, can they even find enough dollars to pay me back at all? That is a default risk. And that's the trap, right there. When countries like Argentina or Turkey need to pay debts that are in US dollars, printing more of their own currency, more pesos or lira, doesn't solve the problem. In fact, it usually makes it worse. As they print, their own money's value drops, which just makes that dollar debt even bigger and harder to pay off. It is literally like trying to pay your rent with coupons you printed at home. Your landlord doesn't want to. But, just being able to print your own currency isn't a magic wand. It is not the whole picture. Which brings us to our second clue. This one is a little less about mechanics and a lot more about something, well, fuzzier. We're talking about trust and credibility. You see, trust isn't something you can just create overnight. It's built over decades, through crises. You could almost say a currency has a memory. Take a look at this. Whenever there's a global crisis, investors around the world generally believe the US dollar will pull through. It has a track record. Now compare that to the Argentinian peso. Its history is filled with collapses. So the moment trouble starts, that memory kicks in and everyone runs for the exit. The printing press might be the same, but the history, the trust, is completely different. And this is where politics gets really tangled up in all of this. Think about it. Raising taxes is unpopular. Cutting government spending is unpopular. They're politically hard things to do. But printing money? At first, it feels like a free lunch. It's a way to pay for things without an immediate, visible cost. But this quote absolutely nails it. Inflation is just taxation without legislation. It's a hidden tax that chips away at the value of your savings, and it hurts the poorest people the most. All right, for our final clue, we need to zoom all the way out. This isn't just a story about one country versus another. This is about the very architecture of the global financial system. And, spoiler alert, it is not a level playing field. I mean, just look at these numbers. The US dollar is the sun that the entire global financial system orbits. Most international trade is priced in dollars. Most international debt is owed in dollars. Most countries hold their emergency savings in dollars. So what does that really mean? It means basically every other country on Earth needs to get their hands on dollars to participate in the global economy. The United States, not so much. This creates a massive, massive power imbalance. When the US central bank, the Federal Reserve, decides to raise interest rates to manage its own economy, it doesn't just affect Americans.
It sends a tsunami across the entire world. Money can just get sucked out of emerging markets almost instantly, triggering crises in countries that did absolutely nothing wrong. Their fate is tied to decisions being made thousands of miles away.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. It's pretty clear now that printing money isn't some simple button a government can press. It's more like a stress test, a test of a country's real underlying strength. So, what are the ingredients that let a country get away with it? What really backs a currency in the end? Well, it really boils down to these 5 pillars. You need a productive economy that actually creates real value. You need institutions that people, both at home and abroad, actually trust. You need deep, stable financial markets that don't panic. Geopolitical power matters a lot. And maybe most important of all, a long, proven track record of not abusing the privilege. If you're missing one or two of these, you're on shaky ground. If you're missing most of them, disaster is basically waiting to happen. Which brings us to the real takeaway from all of this. We really have to stop thinking about printing money as just another economic tool in the toolbox. It's not a tool, it's a test. It's a test of global trust. It's a test of political discipline. And when you boil it all down, it's a test of pure, unadulterated power. And so I want to leave you with one last question to chew on. If the whole game depends on things like history, credibility, and your country's rank in the global hierarchy, are we even talking about economics anymore? Or is this entire paradox really about politics, just dressed up to look like finance? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.